I checked my bank account after the family gathering and it was empty. My sister's husband smirked. "We needed it more than you." My hands shook as I grabbed my bag and said, "Then you won't care what happens next." As their laughter filled the room, a sharp crash rattled the house. The front door swung open and... "You're really upset about this?" Jake leaned against the kitchen counter, a beer in his hand, that arrogant half-smile plastered on his face. "Chill. We needed it more than you." I stared at my phone, my finger hovering over the banking app's refresh button. I tapped it 3 times already. The balance hadn't changed, $4.12. That couldn't be right. Yesterday, I had over $13,000. 13,000. "You what?" My voice broke slightly. Laura, my sister, chuckled from the armchair, completely at ease, legs tucked beneath her, sipping wine like this was just another casual evening. "Don't make a scene," she said. "It's not like we took it. We're family." "You cleaned out my account." "It's not cleaning out if we'll pay it back," Jake said with a shrug. "Eventually." My jaw dropped, but no words came. I turned to Mom, sitting quietly with her embroidery across the room. She didn't look up. "Mom," I said louder, "did you know about this?" She sighed as if I'd just complained about a bad meal. "Honey, you're always so intense. You've got a good job, no loans, no family to support, you're fine. So that makes it okay to rob me?" "Language, Ethan," Dad mumbled, eyes glued to his phone. I faced Laura. "How did you even get into my account?" "You left your login on the shared laptop," she said, unapologetic. "Maybe don't do that next time. Honestly, it's on you." "On me?" I stopped myself. My hands clenched into fists. My breath was short, ragged. "You're blowing this out of proportion," Jake said. "We didn't blow it on junk. We paid bills, bought food, survived." "You didn't ask." "We didn't think we needed to," Laura snapped. "You've been covering things for years. What's the difference if it's through you or from you?" I grabbed my bag, moving deliberately. No one stirred. No one apologized. No one even seemed fazed. "You're leaving already?" Mom asked. "Yeah," I said, pulling on my jacket. "But I'll be in touch." "Don't be like that." Laura rolled her eyes. "We needed it more than you. That's just reality." I reached for the door handle. Paused. "Then you won't mind what's coming next." They laughed. But outside, something was already in motion. "You always pitch in. That's your role, right?" "Hey, you okay?" It was my cousin Mia catching up to me as I stormed to my car, fists tight, jaw set. "No," I muttered, wrenching open the door. "I heard what Laura said," she said cautiously. "That was wrong." I didn't respond. If I spoke, I'd yell. This wasn't the first time. For years, I'd been the dependable one, the one with the steady job, the one who didn't need help. So somehow that made me the family ATM. It started small. Laura missed a utility payment once. I covered it. Then Jake got laid off and asked for a loan to tide them over. Then there was a birthday party for their kid I offered to fund. Except I didn't offer. They just assumed I would, and every time they acted like I owed them. "You're fortunate, Ethan," Mom would say, her tone warm but edged. "You don't have the burdens your sister does. God gave you stability so you could share it." "Family looks out for each other," Dad would add. "You wouldn't be here without us." Translation: "We raised you, so hand over your paycheck. I never asked for anything. Not when I was out of work for 5 months eating instant noodles. Not when I skipped trips for years to rebuild my savings. Not even when I bailed out Laura and Jake's credit card debt 2 years back. They never repaid me. They never even said thanks." "You coming to the family reunion?" Laura asked last week. "Yeah," I said. "Should I bring anything?" Her reply was quick. "Just yourself and your wallet." I thought she was kidding. Now I know she wasn't. 2 days after the incident, Laura called. I didn't pick up. She called again and again. Then Jake texted. "Answer her, man. She's losing it." On the 5th call, I answered. "Ethan," she started, her voice low, unsteady. "We've got a problem." "Oh, we do?" "Don't be like that. Something's wrong." I stayed quiet. She went on. "The electric company came today. We're way behind on payments. They're threatening to cut us off by Monday." "And?" She paused. "We need your help." I let out a sharp, bitter laugh. "You empty my savings and now you want more?" "It wasn't just for us," she shot back. "We helped Mom and Dad too. Dad's truck broke down, remember?" I wasn't told. "Because you always say no unless it's urgent." "Laura," I said, voice flat. "This isn't just wrong, it's illegal. You're being dramatic. It's family." You didn't ask. We didn't think you'd care. You always help. That's your role, right? There it was. That's your role. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, replaying every moment from the past 5 years. The favors, the small withdrawals, Mom saying, "You're the reliable one." Laura's eye rolls when I hesitated. They never saw me as a brother, a son, a person, just a resource. 3 days later, Mom called. "We need to talk." No questions about my life, my job, the stolen money. "We're having a family dinner, just us. Come tonight." My gut sank. "What's this really about?" "Ethan," she said, voice low, "you've caused a lot of stress." I caused stress. Still, I went. Part of me wanted answers. Part of me wanted to see if they'd even pretend to feel sorry. They didn't. When I walked in, Laura was there, arms crossed. Jake slouched beside her, looking bored. Mom was in the kitchen. Dad skimmed through bills like nothing was wrong. "So," Laura began as I sat, "are we going to act like grown-ups or what?" "Depends," I said. "You ready to admit to grand theft?" She scoffed. "God, you're so over the top. It wasn't theft. It was family money. You always help." Jake nodded. "You can afford it? So why the fuss?" I didn't agree to it. "You didn't say no either." "Because I didn't know." "Details," Laura muttered. I turned to Mom. "And you're fine with this?" She looked away. "We all agreed. You've always been the one who could manage." No one asked me. "We trusted you," Dad added. "Trusted you to do what's right." I stood. "And what's right? Letting you take from me while pretending it's normal?" "Stop saying take!" Laura yelled. "It was for the family." "Then you won't mind the consequences." "What's that supposed to mean?" Jake's eyes narrowed. I didn't answer. "Not yet." "You don't get to cry now." I stepped into the house and everyone was already there. Mom was arranging dishes, clattering them louder than needed. Dad lounged on the sofa, flipping channels like it was any other night. Laura stood by the window, arms crossed, face tight. Jake sprawled at the table like he was waiting for a show, not facing the fallout of wiping out my savings. "Well, look who decided to show," Laura said, voice dry. I dropped my bag by the door without a word. "Let's get this done," I muttered. "Good," Jake grinned. "Maybe we can stop acting like you were mugged." I was mugged. I sat down. That was the signal. Mom cleared her throat. "Ethan, we know you're upset, but you have to understand we were in a bind. We had no other options. Laura and Jake were struggling. And you," Dad added. "You've always been the solid one. We knew we could rely on you." "You didn't ask," I said, voice icy. "You took. That's not family. That's theft." Laura rolled her eyes. "You're so dramatic. We didn't spend it on nonsense. We used it where it counted." "No." I pulled a printed spreadsheet from my bag and slapped it on the table. 152 on skincare, 850 on delivery food, 2,100 for your car loan, Jake. Didn't think I'd look. Jake leaned forward, face hardening. "You dug into our finances?" "Oh, I did more than that." I opened my laptop, screen glowing with a detailed, color-coded breakdown. Every purchase, every transfer, all documented. I filed a fraud report, and they responded. Laura's eyes widened. "You didn't. I did." "You called the cops?" she shrieked. I turned to Mom. "Still think this is just family business?" "This is outrageous," Dad snapped. "You want to lock up your own sister?" "You locked yourselves up." Then came the knock. 3 sharp, heavy thuds against the door. Laura paled. Jake stood too quickly. Mom gasped and stepped back. Dad froze. "Open the door," a voice called. "Financial Crimes Division. Knock, knock, knock." Jake turned to me, voice low. "Ethan, tell me you're not for real." I opened the door. 3 agents entered, jackets marked in bold letters. One held a clipboard, another a tablet. The third scanned the room. "You Ethan Carver?" "Yes." "Thank you for your cooperation. We'll handle it from here." Mom covered her mouth. Laura collapsed into a chair, legs weak. Jake stood, stunned. An agent turned to them. "You're listed as persons of interest in a case of financial fraud and identity theft." "Identity theft?" Mom cried. "He's our son." The agent didn't flinch. "Family doesn't make illegal actions legal, ma'am." "We didn't steal," Laura shouted. "We had a right. He always helped." "Assuming you're entitled to someone's money doesn't make it yours," another agent said calmly. "Please stay seated." I stood back and watched. For the first time, they didn't interrupt me, didn't mock me, didn't laugh. Mom turned to me, voice trembling, tears forming. "Ethan, please! We didn't mean to hurt you. We were desperate. You've always been the strong one." I looked her in the eyes. "You don't get to cry now." She covered her mouth and sobbed. Laura tried to speak, but nothing came out. Jake sat under the agent's gaze, looking like he might run. "You want to talk about family?" I said, stepping forward. "It's trust, it's respect, it's asking, not taking, not laughing while you drain me dry." They said nothing. I grabbed my bag and turned to the lead agent. "I'll be outside." This time, they didn't stop me. "You're free now, Ethan. Don't go back." I left the house in silence. No one followed. No one called my name. No guilt trips, no drama, no Laura yelling, "How could you?" like she always did. Just the crisp night air and the sound of tires rolling as the investigators led them out one by one. I didn't stay to watch. That night, I drove aimlessly, past shuttered cafes and lit-up gas stations, my phone buzzing relentlessly in the passenger seat. I ignored every call. I didn't want apologies that sounded like excuses. By midnight, I parked outside the only place that ever felt safe, my grandmother's old house. She'd passed years ago, but I kept the key. She used to say, "If they ever turn on you, Ethan, come here. This door's always open." That night it was. I slept for 12 hours straight. No messages, no guilt, no weight crushing my chest like when I was near my family. When I woke, I made coffee in a cracked mug and stood by the window watching the sun rise over the garden fence she loved. For the first time in years, I could breathe. The silence didn't last. That afternoon, Dad emailed, "This has gone too far. You've shamed the whole family. Where's your loyalty?" I didn't reply. Then Laura texted, "Hope you're satisfied. They're freezing my accounts. Jake's under scrutiny at work. You destroyed our lives over a few bucks." A few? Try thousands? Try years of silent sacrifice? Then Mom. A voicemail, her voice soft, breaking. "You didn't have to do this. We could have fixed it as a family. Ethan, sweetheart, please. They're talking about charges. We might lose the house." I replayed that line. They might lose the house. And suddenly, I wasn't angry. I wasn't vengeful. I just didn't care. Because I'd already lost a home, years ago, when they decided I was worth more as a bank than a son. 2 days later, a message came from someone unexpected. Jake's brother, Tom. We barely spoke. Maybe a nod at family events. His text was short. "Laura's trying to pin it on you. Says you approved the transfers. They've got a lawyer. Watch yourself." I almost laughed. Even now, with everything collapsing, she was still scheming. That night, I called my lawyer. "Send it all," I said. "We're not just pressing charges. I want a restraining order." Not every message was hostile. A week later, an email came from Rachel, Jake's sister. "I know we haven't talked in years, but you were right. About everything. About how they treat you. About how toxic it's become. I thought you were distant. Now I think you were strong." I read her message twice. Strong. No one in my family had ever called me that. One morning, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. "Ethan." The voice was small, hoarse. "It's Laura." I said nothing. She kept going. "I know I screwed up. I went too far. I didn't think it'd come to this. Jake's been suspended. Mom's a wreck. Dad won't talk to me. And you?" She paused. "You always had the power to ruin everything, and you did." I waited a moment, then, calmly, "I didn't ruin anything. I just stopped letting you walk all over me." Silence. Then, "Can you stop it now?" "Drop the charges. Please, I'll do anything." I remembered her words from the reunion. "We needed it more than you." I smiled faintly. "No," I said. "You made this mess. Deal with it." And I hung up. That night, I cooked dinner in peace, played my favorite playlist from high school, sat on the porch with coffee, watching the world pass by. For the first time since I was a kid, no one asked for money. No one guilted me. No one made me feel like my worth was tied to what I gave. I wasn't their ATM anymore. I was just me, and that was enough. I'm not your bank. I'm not your safety net. I'm done. Peace is quieter than you expect. You think it'll feel like a victory parade or a loud anthem. But for me, peace was the absence of demands. No one calling me selfish. No texts starting with, "Since you're doing well." Just silence. Beautiful, unbroken silence. 3 months have passed since I turned their world upside down. 3 months since the investigation began. Since my family stared in disbelief as agents walked through their door and reality shattered their illusions. They say you can't pick your family? Maybe. But you can decide how much of yourself you're willing to sacrifice to keep them happy, and I was done sacrificing. The fallout was swift. Laura and Jake tried to contain it first. Their lawyer contacted mine, offering a private resolution. No apology, no accountability, just damage control. I told my lawyer, let it play out. A week later, Mom sent a letter, 8 pages, her handwriting still neat but shaky in spots. She wrote about how things spiraled, how they never meant to harm me, how she hoped I'd see the bigger picture. "We thought you'd always be there," she wrote. "That's what good sons do." That line hit me, because it said it all. Not, "We were wrong." Not, "You didn't deserve this." Just, "You were supposed to keep giving." I didn't write back. I didn't call. And for the first time, I felt no guilt. I moved. New city, new apartment. No more unannounced visits from relatives. I changed my number. My boss noticed my focus and offered a raise. I took it. It's amazing how much better you work when you're not secretly covering your sister's rent or your mom's phone bill. I sleep better, eat better, breathe better, because I'm not carrying 4 people who never say thank you. Then one morning, a letter arrived. No sender's address. Inside, a check for $1,000 and a note. I left him. "You were right. I was scared, but seeing what you did gave me the strength to walk away too. This is for what you paid for Lily. Her books, her clothes, the rent. I know Jake never thanked you, but I am. Thank you for showing me the way." Rachel, I read it twice. Then I cried. Not from pain or sadness, but because someone in that family finally saw me as a person, not a resource. People ask, "Do you regret it?" My answer is simple: no. I regret waiting so long. I regret every missed trip, every tight budget, every sleepless night while they went out, shopped, and posted about family love online. I regret shrinking myself to make them feel bigger. I regret staying quiet when I should have said, "You're crossing a line." But do I regret standing up? Setting it all ablaze? Never. My therapist once asked, "Why did it take so long to say no?" I said, "I thought saying no meant I didn't love them." She nodded. Saying no is how you teach people to love you right. I've never forgotten that. A few days ago, I ran into an old classmate. She said, "I heard about your family." That's intense. I braced for judgment. Instead, she smiled. "Good for you. Most people never break free." I thanked her and walked away, standing a bit taller. Laura and Jake are still under investigation. Jake lost his job. Laura's accounts are frozen. Mom's trying to save the house, and Dad's blaming outside forces for breaking the family apart. They still don't get it. I didn't break anything. I just stopped pretending it was whole. Sometimes I flash back to that night. The table. Laura laughing as I checked my balance. Jake smirking like it was a game. Mom dismissing it. "You don't need that money," she said. Now they know. That money wasn't just money. It was my time, my effort, my boundaries. They crossed them for years like it was nothing. Now they face the consequences. I don't cheer their downfall, but I celebrate me for surviving, for leaving, for not going back, even when the silence felt heavy, even when guilt tried to pull me back. Because that silence, it's freedom. So if you're reading this and you're the reliable one, the good son or daughter expected to give without complaint, hear what I wish I'd heard. You don't have to burn yourself out to keep others warm. You can stop, you can walk away. And when you do, you don't lose family. You find yourself.